What's up, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB Recap. The Rays' entire 2023 outfield is completely gone. Randy Arozarena, Luke Raley, Jose Siri is on the move as well. Every single guy has basically been traded or just told to go away. We don't need you anymore. We also have another breaking trade. The Guardians and the Cubs are getting busy, and also the Cubs are staying busy. They have released multiple guys that have kind of shocked the Cubs fan base. Also, later in the video, the Yankees owner Hal Steinbrenner told the world what Juan Soto was looking for in his new contract, and it doesn't have anything to do with money. Yes, he obviously wants a lot of it, but he's also keeping his eye on one other thing, so stay tuned for that. So we'll talk about all of that and more in today's MLB Recap, and don't forget that Recap is brought to you by SeatGeek and Underdog Fantasy. Use code Fuzzy. Like I mentioned, the Rays have traded away their entire outfield, and Jose Siri is the latest guy to get traded. We'll talk about him in just a moment because right now the Cubs are breaking news left and right. They just traded for a Cleveland reliever, and I guess before we talk about that, they also dropped a few guys like super prospect Brennen Davis, or I should say former super prospect 25-year-old Brennen Davis, who was top 100 4 consecutive years in a row. He was even 15th in all of Major League Baseball back in 2022. He made it to AAA at just 21 years old. He had a .933 OPS before injuries completely robbed him of playing time, and then he fell out of the top 100 for the first time this past season. After falling out of the top 100, he hit .214 in AAA, but he still had 11 home runs and a .360 on base in 47 games. Those are pretty good on base and power numbers. Someone is going to take a flyer on Brennen Davis 100%, and I'm sad that he never worked out in Chicago. Not only is Brennen Davis being DFA'd by the Cubs, but Patrick Wisdom is being DFA'd as well to make room for their breaking trade. Patrick is going to be 33 years old heading into 2025, and yes, he's got incredible raw power. He has fantastic exit velocities, but he doesn't get on base in terms of taking walks, and he has terrible defense. So it makes sense that if they were going to move on from anyone, it was going to be Patrick Wisdom. So again, Patrick Wisdom was DFA'd to make room on the 40-man roster for Eli Morgan, who the Cubs just picked up in a trade with the Cleveland Guardians, and I'm sad to see Eli go. You guys know I'm a Guardians fan. He was great last year. The biggest reason why the Guardians are choosing to move off of Eli Morgan is because arbitration is around the corner, and the Guardians don't even want to deal with that. But Eli is going to be 28 years old, and again, he's coming off his best year in the big leagues by far. He turned in a minuscule 1.93 ERA. The strikeouts were down, but so were the home runs per 9 and walks allowed. He kind of chose command over nasty stuff, and don't get it twisted, Eli Morgan's changeup is still lethal and one of the better pitches in baseball. Now, I will say one thing about Eli Morgan. When the postseason comes around, the strikeouts come back. He has 11 strikeouts and 7 1/3 postseason innings, which isn't a lot by any means, but he was fantastic in that series against the Tigers. He was clutch. Normally, I talk about the return for a traded player, but apparently trying to find out who the Guardians got in return for Eli Morgan is like Harry Potter looking for Voldemort Horcruxes. You just can't find it. So I guess I'll talk about who could be replacing Eli Morgan in that bullpen, and it's 6'6" flamethrower Franco Allman. You guys are screwed. And as I uttered that last syllable, the trade has officially been confirmed as done. The return going back to the Guardians is 20-year-old Alfonso Rosario. I keep wanting to say Alfonso Soriano. It is 20-year-old outfielder Alfonso Rosario. He is as toolsy as it gets when it comes to young prospects. Last year in A-ball, take it with a grain of salt because again, it was A-ball, he had 16 home runs, 20-something stolen bases, and with any athletic toolsy guy, yes, a lot of strikeouts. So he's definitely going to be a project that won't be making any sort of splash with the Guardians, at least for the next 2 or 3 years. Real quick, we talked about how Franco Allman is probably going to be the Eli Morgan replacement. Well, what about the guy who Eli Morgan is replacing in the Cubs bullpen? Well, Adbert Alzolay has officially been let go. He got DFA'd. The Jose Siri trade is going to come right after this. Don't go anywhere, guys. But again, Adbert Alzolay, he was a machine in 2023 with a 2.67 ERA, but the strikeout stuff has kind of just vanished. Some fans have suggested that maybe he's trying to figure out how to pitch again now that the sticky stuff has been banned again. This is all alleged. I'm not saying that Adbert did in fact use sticky stuff, but to see the strikeout stuff go from a 12.8 strikeouts per 9 to 9.4 to 6.8, something's not right. Either he's not right and is injured, or he's trying to learn how to pitch all over again. So just a small recap to what you just heard. The Cubs are moving on from Brennen Davis, Patrick Wisdom, Adbert Alzolay, and the young outfielder Alfonso Rosario in exchange for Eli Morgan of the Guardians. Now it's time to talk about the best bad player in the history of baseball, Jose Siri. So he is going to the New York Mets. He's essentially going to be taking Harrison Bader's job. I do not expect Bader to return. I feel like we all kind of knew that the writing was on the wall. In exchange, the Rays are getting 27-year-old reliever Eric Ors, I think I said that right. He was awful in his small cup of coffee debut. He allowed 4 runs on 2 walks and a home run in like 2 appearances, but he has great extension. The Tampa Bay Rays love guys with great extension. He also had a 2.9 ERA and a 12.5 strikeouts per 9 in AAA last year. So knowing Tampa Bay, they're probably going to turn this guy into the next Jason Adam or a freak out the bullpen. He's going to be part of their stable for a while. Or at least that's the idea. I thought that they were going to turn Phil Maton into prime Mariano Rivera, and that didn't happen. Now let's try and figure out why I call Jose Siri the best bad player of all time. So he's a platinum glover. No, he's never won a platinum glove, but he is in the conversation almost every single year. Last year, he had a whopping 16 outs above average, and that's because he has elite range. He's one of the fastest players in baseball. He has one of the best, if not the best arm of any center fielder in baseball. So he has A+++++ speed, arm, and just anything that you need in terms of being athletic. He's also got crazy pop as well. But the thing that holds Jose Siri back and makes him one of the worst best players of all time, he's awful at getting on base, like all-time bad at doing that. He's also one of the worst strikeout players in the history of baseball. So because of that, I can't imagine he's going to be playing 162 games. If we take a look at his season, he had a 68 OPS plus versus righties and an almost 90 OPS plus versus lefties. So he's probably going to be a platoon guy who hits 210 versus lefties, plays fantastic platinum defense, and hits a few home runs. That's what I expect. Staying with expectations, Juan Soto is expecting great things from the farm system of any team that he chooses to sign with. So the Yankees owner, Hal Steinbrenner, I finally said it right on the first attempt, he essentially confirmed that Juan Soto has a GM bone in his body. If he's going to sign with your team, he wants to make sure that your development system is fully intact and ready for the next 10, 15 years. Some fans are taking this as Juan Soto throwing shade at the Yankees player development system, and I don't really read that because, I mean, we have Jason Dominguez. I feel like Spencer Jones could be really good. We know that Austin Wells and Luis Hill were in the top 3 conversations for Rookie of the Year. They got some good young pieces coming up. And realistically, I guess I'm assuming when I say this, but Juan Soto is probably asking the same question for every single franchise. He's a winner. He doesn't want to go to a club and end up like Chris Bryant on the Rockies and just fade into oblivion. 3 last-minute things I want to talk about before we end the video. The managers of the year, as well as Jacob Stallings. He's going back to the Rockies for like $2 million, so I wanted to get that out the way super quick. Stephen Vogt and Pat Murphy are your managers of the year. We'll talk about Vogt first because a lot of fans across baseball are saying that AJ Hinch got robbed, but then you have another small group of fans saying that Matt Quatraro of the Royals got robbed as well. To me, I am a Guardians fan, but when you win 92 games without Shane Bieber because he had Tommy John, you have Tristan McKenzie, Logan Allen putting up 5 ERAs and sent to AAA. Carlos Carrasco put up a 5 ERA before he got DFA'd, and Gavin Williams basically had a 5 ERA and was useless. Yeah, this whole pitching chaos thing, the Guardians did that all year long. They had the fewest starts from a starter going 4 innings. They relied on their bullpen all year. I don't understand why it's just a Tigers thing. The Guardians did the exact same thing. Pat Murphy replaced Craig Counsell after Counsell took a lot of money from the Cubs. The Brewers obviously didn't have Brandon Woodruff. They traded away Corbin Burns, yet they still outscored their opponents by almost 150-something runs. Pat Murphy, he deserved it. Good for him.